Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Saras. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpada Shankaram Lokashankaram. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badharayanam Sutrabhashya Kritav Vande Bhagavantav Punah Punah. Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahmavidvaram. Sadgurum Brahmavidvaram. Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Gratitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamritavarshiniim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayiniim Ambatvam Anusandadhami Bhagavad Gite Bhavadveshinim Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marutah Stunvanti Devyai Stavaihi Vedai Sangapadakramopanisadaihi Gayanti Yam Samagah Dhyanavastita Dadgatena Manasa Pashyanti Yam Yogino Yasyantam na vidusura suraganah Devaya Tasmai Namaha Devaya Tasmai Namaha. Hari Om. Both the armies, the Pandavas and the Kauravas armies, both are ready for the battle. And the battle start has been indicated by the blowing of the conch by both armies. Bhishma Pitamaha started it first, and then the entire Kaurava army joined in, and Pandavas also responded. So, battle is ready to begin. Shots will be fired any time now. So, at this crucial juncture, Arjuna gets a sudden flash of thought. I want to see the Kauravas army at close quarters. He knew very well who they all are. He knows the people whom he has to fight. Yet, somehow he thinks he should survey the army once again. So he says, what does he say? Let us read. Verse 21. Arjuna Uvacha Senayor Ubhayor Madhye सेनयोरुभयोर्मध्ये रथं स्थापय मेच्युत रथं स्थापय मेच्युत यावदेतान्निरीक्षेऽहं योद्धुकामानवस्थितान् कैर्मया सह योद्धव्यम् अस्मिन् रणसमुद्यमे योत्स्यमानानवेक्षेऽहं ययेतेऽत्र समागताः धार्तराष्ट्रस्य दुर्बुद्धेः युद्धे प्रियचिकेशवः अर्जुन उवाच सेनयोरुभयोर्मध्ये रथं स्थापय मेच्युत यावदेतान्निरीक्षेऽहं योद्धुकामानवस्थितान् कैर्मया सह योद्धव्यम् अस्मिन् रणसमुद्यमे योत्स्यमानानवेक्षेऽहं ययेतेऽत्र समागताः धार्तराष्ट्रस्य दुर्बुद्धेः युद्धे प्रियचिकीर्षवः. Arjuna uvacha. Arjuna said. He said this to Lord Sri Krishna. Hey Achyuta. Achyuta is another name for a beautiful epithet for Bhagwan Sri Krishna. Achyuta. It has a great religious, philosophical and spiritual significance. It means unfailing, infallible, the one who never falls or slips. Bhagwan is Satya Sankalpaha. Whatever he wants to accomplish, he does. He is all-knowing and all-powerful. If you want the real assurance for success, seek refuge in him. He will never fail you. Philosophically speaking, he is Brahman and he never falls from the state, from that Brahman state into samsara. That is our nature too, but as jivas we have fallen from that status. We have taken ourselves to be the jivas with all the limitations. But Bhagavan never does that. Even when he takes avatara, he never falls from his true nature. So that is Achyuta. Achyuta also means ever liberated. So we call it avatara for that reason. It is not called janma. Janma means falling down. Avatara means descending down, coming down. It's like coming down a flight of stairs. That is one thing. And if you trip and fall and dadam, 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 that's no good. That is what we have done. He is nicely, majestically, he comes down. Anyway, so that is what Achyuta is. So now Arjuna commands, Hey Achyuta, Ratham Stapaya, place the chariot. Where? Senayoho Ubhayoho Madhye. Take this chariot. Remember, Bhagavan is the driver. So he is commanding his driver, take this chariot and place it in between the two armies, Senayoho, Ubayoho. Why? For what purpose? Yavat etan nirikshe aham. So that I can see very clearly. I want to see very clearly. I want to survey. What do I want to see? Yodhukaman avastitan. All these people who have assembled here, I want to see them. And they have assembled here Yodhukaman with a desire to fight us. Kaihi mayasaha yodhavyam. With whom I have to fight. I want to see clearly all those people I have to fight. Asmin ranasamudyame. In this huge battle, who I have to fight, I want to see. I yotsiyamanan avekshe aham yete atra samagataha. I want to have a clear view of all of them, all those people who have come here with a desire to fight us. So take me in front of them. I also want to see all other kings who have come to support my enemy. Yuddhe priyachi keshavaha. As he mentions Dhaddarashtraha, his blood boils. All the evil deeds they did to them comes to his mind. Arjuna is extremely angry. He is pumped up. He uses the word durbuddhehe. Those people of evil minds. Durbuddhehe. This expression is very important. Please note this in your memory. We will have to retrieve this later. So at this juncture, with the words he is using, it's very clear. In his mind, in Arjuna's mind, he is very clear that this battle is against evil. He clearly knows that he is not fighting his cousins. His intellect is ruling his decisions. He is working well. And now what happens? What happens when Bhagwan, as per his command, takes the chariot and he places it in front of the Kauravas' army? As commanded, he obeys. Arjuna is the master for now. He has commanded, take this chariot and place it in between the armies. So we see at this juncture, Arjuna is very clear about his action. He knows that this is going to be a war in which Himsa is involved. This war will involve killing a lot of people. No doubt, our Shastras say Ahimsa is a great virtue. One of the most important vows prescribed by Shastras is Ahimsa. Ahimsa paramo dharma. So we should not be harming others. Later on, Bhagwan himself will emphasize this virtue, Ahimsa. But at the same time, our Shastras point out, Ahimsa is not an absolute value. For that matter, no value can be followed absolutely because every value has an exception. The general or universal value is called utsargah and exceptions are called apavadaha. Ahimsa is a Utsarga rule, but there are situations when one's duty has to resort to Himsa. And that will come under Apavada rule. Even the gods who are embodiment of compassion, all of them have weapons. Lord Shiva has the Trisula. Vishnu has the Chakra. Goddesses such as Kali and Mahishasura Mardini, they are well known for their terrible forms. So none of the gods believe in misplaced compassion. A Kshatriya must be aware of the fact that ahimsa is not an absolute value. For the sake of protecting dharma, if he has to kill people, if he has to punish people, Bhagavan will say later himself, paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma samstapanarthaya. For that purpose, to re-establish dharma, I will come down, I will take to destruction of all those evil people, wicked people. I will do that. So, as a Kshatriya, Arjuna is clearly aware of this fact. Therefore, in his heart, no regret. There's no doubt that this war is going to involve killing thousands of people. Does not have any compunction. Because he knows very clearly, Dhartarashtrasya durbuddhehe, I am doing this job for the sake of protecting dharma. These sons of Dhritarashtra are evil, wicked. It is my duty as a Kshatriya to destroy them for the citizens of this kingdom. The very definition of Kshatriya is Kshatrat adharmat trayate iti Kshatriyah. A Kshatriya is one who has to protect the society from adharmic people. He should surely try non-violent methods first. If those methods fail, one must resort to violent methods. So all that he knows, with that attitude only, they have come to this battlefield. And Arjuna asked Bhagavan to place the chariot between the armies. And Bhagavan also, like an innocent person, an obedient driver, he does so. What does he do and what happens? Sanjaya Vuvacha Yeva Mukto Rishikeshaha Yeva Mukto Rishikeshaha Gudakeshena Bharata Gudakeshena Bharata Senayorubhayo Madhye Senayorubhayor Madhye Stapayitva ratottamam Stapayitva ratottamam. Sanjaya Bhuvacha Eva Mukto Rishikeshaha Gudakeshena Bharata Senayorubhayor Madhye Stapayitva ratottamam. So when Arjuna gave the command, Bhagavan Sri Krishna did not speak a single word. And Arjuna also did not utter a word. So Sanjaya gives the report here. Eva Muktaha Rishikeshaha Gudakeshaha. Bhagavan Sri Krishna, who is the charioteer, thus commanded by Arjuna, Gudakeshaha, a beautiful title for Arjuna, Gudakeshaha. Gudaka indicates tamoguna, laziness, sleepiness, etc. Ishaha means the master, the Lord, one who has won over. So, someone who has mastered the tamoguna. If one has not mastered tamoguna, he is not ready for Bhagavad Gita. Now Sanjaya says, Hey Bharata. Here Bharata refers to Dhritarashtra. So remember, this is the dialogue that's going on between Sanjaya and Dhritarashtra. He is reporting. So he addresses Dhritarashtra and says, Bharata. Dhritarashtra has also come in that dynasty only. So Bharata is the right name to call him. So he says, Lord Sri Krishna, Senayoho Ubayoho Madhye Stapayitva. He placed or positioned or stationed that chariot, that huge chariot, he placed it in between the two armies. Senayoho Ubayoho Madhye. He placed it in between the two armies. From where Arjuna can clearly see the faces of everyone in the opposite side. And what did Arjuna see there? Verse 25. Bhishma Drona Pramukatah Bhishma Drona Pramukatah Sarvesham cha Mahikshitam Sarvesham cha Mahikshitam Uvacha Partha Pashyaitan Uvacha Partha Pashyaitan Samavetan Kuruniti Samavetan Kuruniti Bhishma Drona Pramukatah Sarvesham cha Mahikshitam Uvacha Partha Pashyaitan Samavetan Kuruniti. So, Ratam Stapayitva. After Sri Krishna placed the chariot between the two armies, Arjuna saw Sarvesham Mahikshitam. All those kings who were supporting Duryodhana. Even though there were many kings and Bhagavan could have positioned the chariot in front of anyone. It's a huge battlefield. The armies are all stationed. So it's like a big parade, military parade like that they have there. He could have taken the chariot and put it anywhere he wants. But what did he do? Bhagavan does a little mischief here. So many instances Bhagavan plays these tricks. This is one such. Knowing Arjuna's weakness, he puts the chariot, he drives the chariot and puts it Bhishma Drona Pramukatah, right in front of Bhishma and Drona. If he had placed it anywhere else, if he had put the chariot anywhere else, okay, story will be very different. No, he wouldn't do that. he takes that chariot and puts it right in the face, as it were, of Bhishma and Drona. Instead, if he had taken the chariot and put it in front of, let us say, Duryodhana or Karna, he would have gotten a little bit more hot under his collar. No. His blood would be boiling further. No. The war would have happened right then and there. This Gitopadesha would have never taken place. Thank God Bhagavan did that. Wanted to be a guru. He is indeed Jagat Guru. And he has been wanting to teach Arjuna for a long time. Bhagavan was about 80 years old, Arjuna was about 60 years old. They were not, 20-somethings. They have known each other for decades. During all those years, Arjuna never asked for knowledge. But a teacher always wants somebody to teach. Till this time, he never asked. So, ask me. So let me, do some drama. Let me create a situation where he will ask for some knowledge, some teaching. So, very strategically thinking, he takes the chariot and places it right in front of Bhishma and Drona. As we all know, Arjuna had an intense attachment to Bhishma and Drona. Having done that, he uvacha, He Partha, Samavetan Pashya. Pashya, look, see, survey, study, behold, Pashya. See all these Kurun, Kaurava. People who have come in the Kuru dynasty, they have all assembled here. Look at them. Arjuna did so. Who all did he see? What did he see? Let us see. Verse 26. We will read 26 and 27 and part of 28 together. Tatra pashyastitan partha, tatra pashyastitan partha, pitrunata pitamahan, pitrunata pitamahan, acharyan matulan bhratrun, acharyan matulan bhratrun, putran pautran sakhimstata, putran pautran sakhimstata, svashuran suhrutaschaiva, svashuran suhrutaschaiva, senayorubhayorapi, senayorubhayorapi, tan samekshya sakaunteya, tan samekshya sakaunteya, sarvan bandhuna vastitan, sarvan bandhuna vastitan, kripaya paraya vishtah, kripaya paraya vishtah, vishidanidam abravit, vishidanidam abravit, tatra pashyastitan partha, pitrunata pitamahan, acharyan matulan bhratrun, putran pautran sakhimstata, svashuran suhrutaschaiva, senayorubhayorapi, tan sameksha sakaunteya, sarvan bandhuna vastitan, kripaya paraya vishtah vishidanidam abravit. So, who all did Arjuna see? Tatra, there, Partha apashyat. On the side of Kauravas, Partha, Arjuna, apashyat, saw. Who are those people that he saw? Most of them were his own kith and kin. Sanjaya gives a long list of relatives. This is a good opportunity for us to know how we call the way Sanskrit. We don't know. Okay. Sometimes we hear some of these, when we do some of the religious rites, especially Shraddha and all that, we invoke the ancestors. Some of the words we don't know, but this is a good lesson to know what we call them in Sanskritam. Pitrun, Ata Pitamahan, Acharyan, Matulan, Bratrun, Putran, Pautran, Sakhin, Pitrun. Pitru means father. Pitrun, plural, fathers. What do you mean by fathers? How many fathers did he have? Everyone has only one father. No. Now our scriptures say we all have 5 fathers. 5 fathers. How? And who are those fathers? There are 5 people who are as good as fathers. One biological father, Janita, the biological father, and 4 others who are as good as our biological father. The next one is Upaneta, the one who gives the sacred thread during the Upanayana, who initiates you to Brahmacharya, gives you the Gayatri mantra. Quite often the father himself does the Upanayana, but it's not necessary. The father does not do that and somebody else does that. Whoever does that samskara, he is considered to be a father. He must be respected as if he is the father. That's the second one. The next one is Yascha Vidyam Prayachati Guru. Guru is also considered as a father. So that is why we place so much importance to Guru. And that is why during the Upanayana ceremony, when the Gayatri Upadesha is done, they cover the person with a silk cloth or any cloth. This indicates Garbhavasa. This is the symbolic representation of the second Garbhavasa. The first Garbhavasa is when the child was in the mother's womb. The second Garbhavasa is when the child is going to go to Gurukula. Why is this Gurukula Vasa considered as Garbhavasa? When a person is born, he is practically an animal. There is no culture, there is no control at all. Any child is an untamed, uncontrolled, uncultured, indiscriminate living being. So we are all born that way. We are all born as Prakrita Purusha, unrefined, crude, with animal instincts. We may be born as human beings physically, but mentally we are not cultured. Only when a person enters Gurukula and learns the Vedas, he learns what is Dharma and Adharma, learns to lead a life based on Dharma and Adharma rather than Raga and Dvesha, then only he is a real human being. So he learns that he should not lead a life based on instincts, but on the injunctions of the scriptures. When the child comes out of Gurukula, he is a new human being. He is no more a brute animal, but he's a cultured human being. So that is why he is called a Dvijaha, twice born. Twice born. The first birth is from the biological mother, and the second birth is from the Gurukula. That is why such education is very important. For this second birth, Gayatri is the mother and the Acharya is the father. So a cultured person is born out of Vedic studies, helped by the Acharya. Thus, Acharya and Gayatri together give birth to the cultured twice born. Therefore, Acharya is the third father. Then the fourth father is Annadata. When I am hungry and I do not have anybody to feed me, at that time, if a person comes and protects me by giving me the food, that person should be considered as a father. Without that food, I would have died. So the person who keeps me going, kept me alive with food, that person is also like a father. So Annadata is the fourth father. The fifth and final father is Bhayatrata, the one who rescues me from adversities, one who gives me a second life, a second chance, by protecting me from any danger. He is also called a father. So keeping that scriptural view, here Vyasa uses the expression Pitrun. All those are respectable people, as good as parents. And of course, your father, your father's brothers, and on your mother's side also, we consider all of them as fathers only. Then similarly, Pitamahan, again plural. If there are many fathers, there must be many grandfathers also. Pitamahan. Then Acharyan, teachers. We all have many teachers. We have spiritual masters who are our teachers, then secular sciences. Our parents are also teachers. Before we go to school, they teach us so much. So we do have many teachers, so Acharya. And of course, right there, the Acharya, Dronacharya is there. And Bhishmacharya is there. Kripacharya is also a teacher for them. They are all there. Then Matulan, uncles. Matulan on the mother's side, maternal uncles are called Matulan. Bratrun, brothers. Brothers, the Kauravas are his brothers only, his cousins. Then Putran, children. Children of his cousins are as good as his own sons. Their own sons are there, and also the Kaurava sons, Putran. Then Pautran, grandchildren. Grandchildren are also there. Sakhin, friends. They are all there. He sees them all. And then the next verse, verse 27, Shvashuran. 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 Shvashuran means fathers-in-law. Arjuna had several fathers-in-law. He had many wives. Okay. So he had many fathers-in-law, literally. Then Suhritan, well-wishers, friends, so many of them were there. Senayoho ubayoho api. They are all standing on both sides of the army. Tan samikshya sa kaunteya sarvan bandhun avastitan. He saw them all, these bandhun, these relatives. There is attachment to relatives. That is why attachment is called pasha. Pasha means a rope. Just as a rope ties you down, all this attachment ties us down. So the ones to whom you are bound are called bandhus. They bind you. The more I am bound, the more I lose my happiness, as it is not determined by me, but by so many other people with whom I have an attachment. Therefore, they are all called bandhus. Kaunteya, Arjuna, saw all his relatives, his kith and kin. He saw them at close quarters. When he, Tan Samikshya, saw them intensely, a total transformation took place in his personality. It had an impact. And Bhagwan, placing that chariot right in front of Bhishma and Drona, had served the purpose. Arjuna was Kripaya Paraya Avishtaha. Kripaya Paraya Avishtaha. Overpowered by attachment and its effects. Here, Kripa word should not be understood as compassion. One meaning of Kripa is compassion, pity, but this is self-pity, more particularly self-pity. Normally, Kripa means compassion only, grace, etc. But in this context, it has to be taken as attachment only. Compassion is a virtue of a jnani. It does not bind a jnani, but attachment is the weakness of a ajnani. Attachment causes problems. Compassion is a virtue, attachment is a weakness. Here Arjuna happens to be an ajnani only, therefore Kripa means attachment in this context. So he was overwhelmed by the emotion of attachment. It's not an emotion that he took to himself, but the emotion took hold of him. He was not the master of emotion, but the emotion is the master. A jnani also feels emotions. He is not a rock. He has emotion, but those emotions don't overpower the jnani. But in the case of an ajnani, the ajnani is consumed by those emotions. For a jnani who is the master of emotions, his emotions will be deliberate, willful action. But for an ajnani, the emotion is a reaction to a situation. So this is indicated by the word avishtaha, meaning he was overpowered, overwhelmed by the emotion of attachment. So many people ask if anger is a useful emotion or a weakness. They argue that without anger, one cannot control, direct, discipline those who need to be directed. like children, students, servants, etc. If you are a Kripa Sindhu, an ocean of compassion when dealing with all of them, they will take advantage of you. So you got to show who is the boss once in a while. So you have to get mad. It is true. If you are in control of that anger, and if you are using that anger such that you invoke that anger at will and put it away when you want to, that is fine. That's a tool in your hand. You are the master of that anger. Somebody does something dumb, your children or at work, people who are reporting to you, then you got to show some emotion. No, that's all right. Everybody makes mistakes. If you are doing all that, they will say, I can do anything. This silly putty I have in my hand, that's my boss, that's my parents. That's what they will think. Can't do that. You have to show some. But then, you cannot let those emotions take control of you. You have to be the master of that anger, but not a slave to that anger. Then the anger is a tool in your hands. But for most people it is not. Usually anger overpowers them. Our case in point, our Puja Gurudev. People have seen his anger at display. A lot of people say, this anger and all that. Gurudev, he was so angry, he used such harsh words, they used to say. But he had that under control. He could just turn it on, turn it off. Very clearly he used to do that. He's a stickler for punctuality. He will start all his lectures right on the dot. And he doesn't like people coming in late and disturbing. And if he sees someone, immediately. Famously, in one of the public meetings, the chief guest, he was late. And that is par for the course these days. Anytime you have a public function, the chief guest always comes late. The greater the person, you can never start your function. But this time, this was some justice, some judge who came late. And he just blasted out of him. For 1 or 2 minutes. And other people were saying, let us wait. No, we'll get started. He started. And he came in late. He blasted him. And then the next minute he turned it off. Whatever he has to say, just like with a pleasant face. You can see those examples. So that is where the difference is. Whether you are in control of that anger or that anger is controlling you. Very important. Here, Arjuna kripaya avishtaha. He was overpowered by this fundamental problem of samsara, and that is the attachment, raga. Once a person is overpowered by raga, immediate problem of shoka comes. Vishidan, he becomes sorrowful. Wherever there is attachment, eventually sorrow will follow. Attachment and sorrow are like two sides of a coin. The intensity of sorrow is directly proportional to the intensity of attachment. So in the case of Arjuna, paraya, kripaya, the attachment was extremely intense. Therefore, the sorrow was also very intense. So here we find the transformation in Arjuna. Arjuna has now become a sorry figure. The powerful warrior has become a sorry figure. A rational Arjuna has become an emotional Arjuna. The soldier has become a samsari Arjuna. This is the first stage of introduction. Before Gita, everyone has to go through these stages. In this case, the soldier becomes a samsari. Then the samsari becomes the disciple Arjuna. So Gita Shastra is describing the first conversion transformation here. So Vedavyasji says Kripaya Avishtaha. We have to imagine and identify with Arjuna, who is now a samsari. What I told you in the introduction, Raga, Shoka and Moha. Of these three basic problems, two have come, attachment and sorrow. Now here we must understand, not that Arjuna developed the attachment on the battlefield. Even before he had the attachment, but it was not evident. When the possibility of losing the objects of attachment becomes more and more probable, then he had the disease, but it was not evident. It's like a dormant virus, like cancer under remission. On the battlefield, that attachment and the subsequent emotion bubbled up. That is why we find it extremely difficult to handle attachment. Often we do not know that we have this problem. We are blissfully ignorant. Therefore, there is no question of taking any action against that problem. It's been hidden so long. And when it surfaces, it's so powerful. We lose the ability to act. Previously, because of ignorance, I don't take action. When it surfaces, it is so powerful, I cannot take action. Addiction to drugs and alcohol. Typical examples. Cancer is growing, the patient does not know. If you are able to detect cancer early, very high probability, quite a few cancers can be cured. But we don't. Stage 3, stage 4, advanced stage only, the symptoms are so obvious, and it becomes that much more difficult. Similarly, attachment and samsara continues. So Arjuna, who is now in that state, is Vishidan, sorrowful. How does he express that sorrow? We will give him some rest. Okay? Poor Arjuna, he needs a break. So we will see what happens to him. The next class. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.